Hi, today I'm going to talk about how math has changed since the 1900s. The 21st century math is very different than those of us that grew up in the 1900s. And a lot of the reason for this is because of technology. Technology has pervaded our lives in many ways, and electronics has come into the classroom, not just in the form of smart boards and PCs, but also in handheld graphing calculators that have been around for about 15 or 20 years. I've only been in math education for 10 years, and when I came back to math after about a 15-year hiatus, I had to learn the graphing calculator, and my students have taught me how to use the graphing calculator over the years. If you look at what the graphing calculator can do, here's a online version, or rather, a PC version of the calculator, and you can see that the y equals is x squared, and what I'm graphing here is actually not a line, but something that would take a long time, a parabola, to graph by hand. I can go into y equals, and I can actually change it and make it into something else very quickly. This enables teachers and students to be able to cover a lot of material in a short period of time. Okay, so there's a line. I can then change that line, yet again, to another kind of line. I'm going to now make this one have a negative slope, the other one had a positive slope. And so the ease with which teachers and students can do this makes the math different because teachers now have to ask different questions. We spent a lot of time in the 1900s working with graph paper and pencils, and students now have this tool, and so they're asking students to be more analytical and more critical thinkers when we were doing much more computational work back in the 1900s. This becomes important, though, for students and parents and teachers to think about because there is a place for mental math. And what happens is once the students get a graphing calculator, they then use the graphing functionality, but then they also use the computational functionality. And therefore, mental math is not as important in math as it used to be. However, there are certain places where it is. So the next slide that I have here shows what I call gatekeeping. And many colleges use placement tests in order to place students into the proper math and also English class. Many placement tests do not allow a calculator. And so students will then be placed in a math class that maybe they could have handled if they had had a calculator. The one that the College Board provides is called the AccuPlacer. This is available online, and there are questions on it that most students have not seen or thought about in quite some time. So an example might be something like 7 divided by 20, if you look at number 3 here, and they want to know the decimal without a calculator. So students still need to know how to do some of these computational things by hand to be good citizens and calculate things in their head, whether stock prices or shopping or just having a conversation, but they also really need this because math is so different in the 21st century. A lot of institutions are still testing the students as if they had these computational mental math skills without a calculator. The calculator itself is a terrific tool, and I often use it in my classroom and also with students one-on-one, but I also like to have students still do a lot of mental math. Thank you very much.